Jake, how would you rate the Bengals draft this year? Were there any picks that stood out that you think they really, really nailed it?
Oh boy, asking me to start with a positive, and
Oh, don't
and,
worry, we'll get
and
into the negative after.
well, then I got to dig for it. I really like their day three of the
Okay.
draft, which is not where you would like to start a lot of times because those are rolls of the dice. But I like the rolls of the dice they took there. I like Barrett
Mhm.
Carter in the fourth round. I think there's a lot of athleticism there. I like the potential for his skill set to translate in the NFL. I like his mentality. I like his approach. It is tempered a little bit, or tempered. The enthusiasm is tempered a little bit because they also went with the second round linebacker who I would not have picked in that
Okay.
particular spot. So we'll probably come back to days 1 and day 2. But Jalen Rivers in the fifth round, a player that has a lot of tools, that has great size, that has position versatility, had some injuries that he dealt with at Miami, but I really like the meat on the bone there in terms of a developmental player who could be a valuable swing offensive lineman. And getting that in the fifth round, I think, is valuable. I think there's a chance that he competes to start. I like that in the fifth round. Love the
Mhm.
sixth round swing on Taj Brooks, an extremely productive college running back and a great running back class. And in a lot of years, might have been picked earlier because of a relative scarcity of in running back in those years. But in this
Yeah.
particular class, he makes it to them in the sixth round. And Chase Brown, another late day 3 pick for the Bengals, has been awesome in the NFL. And I don't know that anyone could reasonably expect Taj Brooks to be that. But from a schematic fit perspective, where the Bengals are going to run a lot of inside zone, a lot of duo, they're going to run a lot between the tackles out of shotgun. And they
Mhm.
really struggled in short yardage situations when they went to those opportunities last year. Having a guy who has been successful in the very unglorious runs that are inside zone from shotgun, where you're just trying to get 4 yards. And if you get 4 yards, that's great. And a more powerful, more compact body that Taj Brooks represents, I think that's a great sixth round pick. That's a great roll of the dice. Now, are any of these guys franchise changing players? This is where it starts to skew to the negative because you don't generally find many franchise changing players on day 3. Every now and
Right.
then you do. It happens
Mhm.
from time to time. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult to project any of that at the time the players are drafted.
Okay, so on the negative side of things, are there any players specifically that stand out to you? Were you in on Shamar Stewart when they drafted him? I was a bit shocked that he went that late. What were your Shamar Stewart thoughts?
Yeah, Shamar Stewart, ball of clay, great athletic traits, very explosive player, very unproductive player, needs to come along in terms of understanding what's happening on the football field, understanding
Mm.
what teams are trying to do to him and what he should be trying to do to other teams. And I think he also needs to develop from a pass rush plan perspective. But I do think that the athletic tools give him a floor. And a lot of people look at athletic tools in the NFL and
Okay.
they say, well, he can jump out of a building. He's crazy vert, crazy
Mhm.
broad. He's fast for his size, great get off when you put him on tape. That should play and it gives him a ceiling, which is true. Those guys tend to have a higher ceiling. But also, in my opinion, if you're big, you're strong, you're freaky explosive, you're fast, if you try hard and you can understand the game at some level, that gives you a floor too, because
Mhm.
you're big and you're strong and you're fast and you're trying hard. And so there could be a floor that comes along with that athleticism that could mitigate some of the risk that is perceived with Shamar Stewart. A lot of that comes back to how well is he going to acclimate to life in the NFL, game speed in the NFL, the way teams are trying to take you out in the NFL. And that's where the delay in him getting on the field early in his career is a little bit worrisome. They
Mm.
are valuable reps, even if it is the offseason program, even if they're not wearing pads. It's valuable for rookies to start to learn as soon as possible. And I know he's still in meetings, he's still going through mental reps on the field, but going out there and doing it physically is a different thing. So you
Yeah.
asked me if I was on board with Shamar Stewart. Not my preferred pick for the
Okay.
Bengals in the first round because from an analytic perspective, there's just so much risk to the profile due to the lack of production in
Okay.
college. And typically, and there are exceptions to this rule. Typically, players that produce at a certain way at the college level continue to produce that way in the NFL. And there are exceptions to this, like most notably Rashawn Gary, and that would be the upside kind of player that you would imagine or hope for the Bengals. But the Bengals also just took this risk on an athletic, toolsy defensive lineman that had limited production in Miles Murphy 2 years ago in the first round. And Miles Murphy
Mm.
has not turned into a high level contributor yet in the NFL. Still could, and I hope he does.
Yeah.
That would be a lot of fun to watch if they had a couple of crazy good athletes that develop into high quality NFL pass rushers. But the risk there um, feels a little scary,
Okay.
considering they just took this risk and don't have a good track record of player development in the last 3 or 4 years.
Quick pause. If you haven't subscribed to the BetCanada YouTube channel, you can do it below in one click. It's free. It helps support our channel so we can keep bringing you NHL and NFL content. Now, back to the show. Do you see them making any more moves in free agency? Because the Bengals cleared up quite a bit of cap space.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they are saving money on players that they otherwise might have moved on from. I think that
Yeah.
there was interest in finding a safety in the draft. It didn't work out that way. Part of that is a domino effect from taking Demetrius Knight in the second round and then feeling like
Yeah.
they had to go offensive guard in the third round. They didn't want to go into day three without having picked an interior offensive lineman. So they get Dylan Fairchild, who's the top of their offensive line board in the third
Mhm.
round, but not necessarily the top of their overall board, as far as I understand it. So there was an opportunity there to draft a safety that they instead go Dylan Fairchild in the third round. Geno Stone takes a pay cut as a result. Zach
Yeah.
Moss, I thought would be cut as he's still working his way back from a scary neck injury last year. Takes a pay cut instead, gets some guarantees as part of that pay cut. I think that suggests that he's going to be on the team, so they save a little bit of money there in terms of cap space, in terms of cash.
Mhm.
They also save a little bit of money if and when they finally move on from Jermaine Pratt. I'm still not too sure why he has lingered on the roster as long as he had. There's almost no world in which he plays for the Bengals next year or in 2025. Maybe they're just waiting for Demetrius Knight to put pen to paper and actually sign his rookie deal officially, and that'll be it. But there is plenty of cap space. Now,
Yeah.
does that go to Trey Hendrickson? Does that go to an outside free agent? Is there still a contingency plan to go get a guard if they don't like what they see early on from
Mhm.
the young guards they have? I'll believe it when I see it. I do think that something eventually will work out with Trey, but
Okay.
as far as external guys, I am very much in the mindset at this point that I would be surprised. I just do not have that level of confidence in the front office in making a significant enough move with an external
Mm.
free agent at this point that will move the needle. Like a couple of fringe veteran types could see that, but they
Like a
are at 90
Julian
players
Blackman
now.
and Justin Simmons, like, could you see any of those guys being added to the roster or
Maybe Julian Blackman. I mean, that's a guy I've been advocating for since the beginning of the offseason. I've been interested in the Bengals making that move. I think Julian Blackman is a good, solid, versatile safety.
Mhm.
Simmons would be a little bit more surprising because of the pedigree there, because of the expected increased salary that you would compare for him to Julian Blackman. But again, I'd be surprised. I would be surprised to see them make any move like that at this point, given their track record and given the way they've approached this offseason.